Hi, everyone. I'm Gold Derby News and Features Editor Ray Richmond, and I'm here today with Molly Gordon, who portrays Claire, the woman who slightly pries open Carmi's closed-off heart on season 2 of the multiple Emmy-winning FX hit The Bear. Carmi is, of course, played by Emmy winner and Calvin Klein model Jeremy Allen White. Molly, um, before we get into how your storyline arrived and evolved on the show, I wanted to ask you just about what it meant to be cast in a show that has such intense fan interest and viewership. Dare I say, worship? There was no audition, right? Didn't Chris Storer just calling off you the part?
Yes, I am will forever be the most special moment of my life. I worked with Chris many years ago on this show Rami and had two incredible days on set with him and Rami and was electrified by that experience. And I was like, this is why I wanted to be an actor. This is so special that how do I bottle this? And Chris said, we're going to work together again. And people say that, but they never actually mean it. And, I obviously reached out when the show came out and said, this is the best thing I've ever seen. And I'm so proud of you. And then um, this gift came to me and yeah, to get to work with him and Jeremy and everyone has been incredible.
Yeah, you're right. People promise you things like, "Yeah, I'm going to bring you on. Don't worry, I'm going to be as soon as we're moving, we're going to bring you," and never follow through. But so it's wonderful to see when it happens once in a while. And it sounds like you were a huge fan of the show before you got cast, just from season 1.
I was editing theater camp and I we worked every day, weekends too. And one night I was so anxious that I was like, I have to, and I couldn't sleep. I was like, I have to watch Chris's show. I didn't know how anxiety produced, like I didn't know that how anxiety inducing the show
Yeah,
was.
I was going to say you can't go to sleep after watching that show.
So I watched it all and I stayed up all night and watched it in this kind of fever dream and texted Chris, what the fuck have you done to me? But yeah, and Io, got was in theater camp, came the bear. She had just shot the bear and we got to have her for that, which was so incredible. So yeah, I mean, I feel Chris is just a really smart guy with energy. He just knows like he's a vibes guy and he knows how to bring together a group of people and if they're going to work together well.
Just the chatter on social media alone, Molly, surrounding every plot twist and turn about this show is kind of mesmerizing. I mean, you're right. Chris has created this amazing kind of work of art that he also had the courage to evolve in its second season, which really did take courage. It would have been just much easier, I think, just to kind of keep the same pace, keep the same tone, keep the same direction. But he changed everything up for season 2, including bringing you on.
Yeah, I mean, I think that yeah, he's just brilliant and I think he keeps elevating and trying new things and he's just a very unique, beautiful artist and yeah, people always say, do you have a work-life balance? And I'm like, I that doesn't exist. And I think that's what he was exploring in the second season with this kind of fast-paced rhythm of the show and then the pace that Jeremy and I had together where time slowed down a bit and it was can these two people connect in this moment and that's what life is like can I you know be in this relationship and do this work, can I be a good friend and do this work and have a child and da 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 da, and that's like and Chris's depth as a person can he's given this gift to us of that the exploration of that question, which I think is like really hard. I don't think it you can find that balance.
No, the balance is something of a myth. I mean, you sort of have to carve it out the way you carve it out. But now, so Molly, let's specifically talk about what your character represented on the show. Claire arrives as a friend Carmi grew up with, but she's no longer that girl, of course. Now she's a grown woman and quite the badass. She's an ER doctor, right?
Yeah, emergency medicine. Yeah, I mean it's based on a friend of Chris's, and I think he felt like it mirrored the kind of pace of the restaurant life and the fact that Claire was in a moment where she had kind of figured out the balance a little bit more. She wanted to attempt to be close to someone and to be doing her work. And I think that scene in the market between them is like this beautiful kind of it's this nostalgic kind of energy of like my favorite old romantic comedies. And I think like this meet cute that like we just haven't seen on screen for a while. And that was my first scene with Jeremy, and that was a really special experience. And like Chris really loves to shoot very close and get up in there. And I think yeah, Claire, because they've known each other their whole lives, Claire can kind of push his buttons and push him a little bit, and she knows when he's hiding a bit. And it was fun to get to play that.
Had you had any time with Jeremy before you shot that? And I assume that was the first thing you shot, is the first thing we saw
The
in the
the
supermarket.
Yeah, no, I didn't have time with Jeremy. And I flew in, I was editing theater camp. And so I but that's the gift of filmmaking, right? They go, here is your husband, and then you start, here is your child, and then action. But Chris knew, I think, that I that I use my humor to mask my kind of self-loathing, and Jeremy is a more quiet human, and our kind of energy would combine to create something compelling. And yeah, I was so nervous to just step up to the plate. Jeremy is, one of our greats. I really believe that. So he welcomed me with open arms, and that scene really, yeah, I felt like it was such an electric feeling. It felt like coming home to that feeling I had on Rami many years ago of like really getting to connect with someone deeply on screen. And not many actors are that open with new people.
Yeah, and Molly, so much of the beer is chaotic and crazy and riddled with angst. I mean, that's really was the whole show in season one, and a lot of season two. That initial moment where you meet up at the supermarket, that meet cute, is just by contrast so low key. I mean, you could practically hear angels singing and harps playing, compared to what we're used to on that show where you just have your heart in your throat.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's like life. It's like, oh my God, how am I going to get all this done? Oh my God, that's my crush from middle school. Oh my God, I can't think of anything else. I can't stop looking at them. I'm like, and I think Chris is playing with that kind of push and pull, and that was like the first moment that the train stopped moving for Carmi, and he like slowed down and just was still for a moment. And I think the way Chris shot that, and those really close-ups, just like allowed us to just really sit in that. But it's like uncomfortable because it's like the opposite of what the show was, and uncomfortable for Carmi, but also like really good for him. It's really good to like connect to other people and have a conversation and not run away from that.
Yeah, it's notable. I think that Claire initially seemingly doesn't want anything from Carmi except maybe a little acknowledgement. Um, she arrives full of kindness and empathy, and they both are from these chaotic, crazy worlds. Her from the emergency room, him from basically the room he's in is basically a kitchen emergency room.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that they have similar, but you're right that it seems Claire is readier, more ready for to be able to step out and try to have a personal life, whereas Carmi is like, I don't know where I am.
Totally. And I think, the fact that they've known each other for so long, she feels like she can kind of push him a bit. But yeah, the question is, can he meet her on the bridge? Because, she's not going to write the paperwork for him. So I think that's kind of what Chris is exploring.
What conversations did Chris have with you about Claire's place in the show? Was it all about all about drawing Carmi out?
Yeah, I think like, I mean, I think, yeah, it was about making Carmi feel seen, and while also I think that flipping the gender role a bit. I think we're used to seeing on screen like men chase women. And I think he was like, this girl like is ready to be in a relationship. She's like, let's fucking do this. I'm ready. And he was like, I want you to like push him a bit, but also create this, this safe space. And we were thinking about like who created the safe space for Claire before that allowed her to kind of be ready at this moment. I think relationships are so much about timing or who you dated before or, family, all the shit. We're all a combination of our past. And at this moment, she's ready. But Chris, I think Claire is not afraid of connection. And I think we talked a lot about like how even just eye contact is like scary for Carmi, just got like stillness and how I need to kind of be this calming balm to just kind of allow for connection, while also being a person that has her needs of her own.
I was so disappointed in Carmi when he gave Claire the wrong number. Oh, and then basically started denying it initially. It was sort of like, oh my God,
Yeah.
please just open up a little bit for the love of God.
I know. It's so funny how we don't do what we want to do most of the time because we're just scared. So it's like I think, that Chris was like, I've done this before. And I love that Jeremy's performance of the kind of last digit when he says it, like he's gonna give it the number and then he bails at the last minute. Such a bad move.
The guy needs to grow some balls. I'm sorry, just a little bit. I know he's still damaged from his brother's suicide and he's sort of damaged from everything, but um,
I just want him to be happy, whatever that means for him, truly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, again, Claire is like the soulmate in waiting for him, who sort of reflects his potential to have joy in a normal life through her eyes. And but he doesn't want to meet her eyes. And then everything falls apart, of course, when Carmi's trapped in the walk-in fridge in the last episode of season 2. That was a great way to end the season.
We've all been in that fridge, man. Like we've all been there in our own ways. And I think, yeah, leaving on that note, that metaphor was just Chris, like at the top of his game. And yeah, I think it's just going to be interesting, to explore if he's able to get out of the fridge, the actual fridge and the fridge of his mind. And yeah, I feel lucky that I'm here, that I was asked to come back and that I get to still be a part of it. And yeah, it's just like, it's such an incredible job.
Can you say anything, Molly, about your involvement in season 3, or would you have to kill me if you answered?
I'd have to kill you, and I don't.
Okay.
I'm not a murderer. So, but
anything you can even hint at? I am totally not interested in spoiling anything for anyone, including
no.
myself.
No, I just feel, again, lucky to be back on a job that I enjoy so much and getting to work with Jeremy and Chris and like the whole gang is fantastic. And the fact that they've, that they've all been awarded and like have come back even more like humble and down to just do the work is like incredible.
What was it like working with Jeremy? When she really started going, you were on 4 episodes, I think, right, this last season.
I think I was in a little bit more even, but I don't even know. It was all a blur because I was just like, how is this happening? Jeremy is so kind and so curious and asks a lot of questions, which is unheard of for an actor. He is really funny, which a lot of people don't know. But he made me step up my game. I mean, I think he's literally like the Sean Penn, Dustin Hoffman, Meryl Streep of our time. And so I feel like I was nervous, like, can I match his level? And I just wanted to kind of meet him. And he helped me step up because of his openness and his grace as a human. So it's been, yeah, so lovely to work with him. And I know people are really protective and love his character so much, and they love it because he cares for it so much. Like that bleeds through. He really cares for Carmi, and plays him with such beauty.
Sean Penn, Dustin Hoffman, Meryl Streep, that's pretty high praise. But I don't disagree with you. I think he's incredibly special and magnetic on screen. Um, but as far as your own participation, Molly, do you find you're getting recognized? I know, again, you're not exactly new at acting, and I know you've been a regular on shows before. You find you're getting recognized on the street more since recurring on The Bear?
I mean, I don't think I've ever been in anything that people watch usually. And so this has been a different experience in that way. But I don't know. It's the I'm to be on a popular show means you get to maybe have a job again. And that's what all I care about and have, just feel like we're all freelance. So the fact that I have another job is amazing. And yeah, it's like it's they made this show like in Chicago being like, wonder if people see this. And then I think they're all like, wow, it's become this huge thing. This is amazing. But it wasn't made with that intention. And that's why
Mhm.
it succeeded. Yeah.
But you're right. You're right about, actors are all freelance, and everybody wonders why are performers so insecure? And it's sort of like because as soon as you're done, you're looking for work again. There's no continuity. There's no security.
Mhm.
That's the no matter how I still remember watching someone, I forget who it was, maybe 15 years ago, accepting an Oscar. They get up there, and if their acceptance speech ends with "Please just hire me again," while they're accepting their Oscar, that tells you everything.
Totally. That's so dark and funny. Yeah.
Yeah, you had quite a summer of 2023 though, and not only starting off on The Bear, between The Bear, and then dropping the release of Theater Camp, which you co-wrote, co-produced, co-directed, edited, co-starred in, probably swept the floors. Really, really funny movie. Looked like you had a blast making it.
Yeah, it was 6 years in the making. So for us to finally get to make that movie and that it came out, is still insane to me and was made with so much love and so many favors and sweeping the floor. You were right. We made that movie with a Band-Aid and a piece of tape. And yeah, I can't I can't wait to make another movie. I love directing so much. And you know, truly watching Chris do Rami and watching Emma Seligman direct Shiva Baby, like, were two of the most like life-changing moments for me. It was like, oh, this is like what I want to do and how I want to do it. And I feel like I've been so lucky to work with, so many filmmakers that I've like picked up things from and have this little toolbox and that I hope to continue to grow from because I want to keep acting. But yeah, Chris was just such a big inspiration to me.
Yeah, Theater Camp made with such obvious love and care. Um, and then you got to work again with Io, Debris, and I'm very proud that I now pronounce Debris correctly. Um, that you can't do much better than working with that woman.
Um, no, you can't. I feel so lucky. The summer that I did Shiva Baby, Rachel Sennett introduced me to Io, and I feel like my life was forever changed by her spirit. And to watch her, succeed in this way has been just so beautiful to witness. And yeah, like you know, asked her to come join us for theater camp. We got her for 2 days. It was such a gift. I had no idea I was going to be on the Bear, months later. It was like, but yeah, we had a blast. And now I get to be a grandma one day and be like, Iowa Debris was in my film, kids. Crazy.
Totally.
We had her for 2 days.
I also really loved Booksmart, by the way, a really inspired, underappreciated film, which I know you were in. One
Yeah.
day that will be hailed as a classic, is my prediction.
That's really sweet. I loved being a part of that project.
Um, I think actually, Molly, we're going to leave things there.
Great.
We're going. First two seasons of The Bear are streaming on Hulu. Season 3 is arriving in June. Molly Gordon, best of luck this Emmy season, and thanks for joining us at Gold Derby.
Thank you. Have a great day.